a chance to. Tonight, what we're going to do is we're introductions. I'm going to let everybody know who's here. We are going to talk about your plays, give people an opportunity to talk about your plays, give playwrights an opportunity to talk about the experience. We are going to do the awards tonight. So that's what's happening tonight. We are excited to have some good dialogue going on about your shows and about the festival. And of course, the final thing will be the awards for the night. And then we'll let you know what's going on next. So that's what's happening. That's kind of the agenda for tonight. We tried to get some real fun music, kind of celebration music behind us, but it sounded so tinny and so weird. So we just scrapped it. So, okay. So let's start with introductions. So playwrights, would you just to start? Let's see. The first one I see is Angela. So Angela, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Angela Sarabia, and I wrote Duress.
Wonderful. And I see Gretchen.
Hello, I'm Gretchen Suarez Pena, and I wrote Searching for a Willow.
Yay! And Marge. Oh, you're
muted. Sorry, my dog was barking. Marge O'Neill Butler, and I wrote 4 bedrooms.
Wonderful. Dana.
Hi, I'm Dana Hall, and I wrote Chasing Cinderella.
And Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Delagerino Friend, and I wrote She Tunes the Violin.
Wonderful. And who did I miss anybody? Sherry and Dana, Sherry and Deb, keep me on track. Did I miss anybody?
Kathleen. No.
No, I think, did I miss any playwrights? Okay. Playwrights, would you introduce any actors or directors that are here with us tonight that worked on your show? Whoever wants to start first. Lisa?
I can start. Let me scroll through the faces. I'm on my phone because I don't have internet in my apartment yet. So I see Kathleen Calais, who is my director. She runs ATC Studios in New Jersey and used all those resources, which was lovely. Kiara, who played Sally, is here, which is amazing. And then Tara, who played Martha Jefferson.
Wonderful. Welcome.
Yeah, that's all I see, I believe.
Does any other playwrights have actors or directors that they want to introduce?
I didn't know they were invited. I would have.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marge. Okay. I'd also like to introduce the judges. So we have 2 of our 3 judges with us tonight. So Susan and Amy, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Amy Losi. I'm also a playwright and an actor and a director. I'm based in New York City.
Welcome, Amy.
Thank you.
And Susan.
Susan Jackson, actor, director, playwright, based in the Bay Area.
Wonderful. And then Claire-Ann is not with us tonight. She is a director and has her doctorate, I believe, in women's studies and theater, and she is from the Tampa Bay area. So we had 3 wonderful judges with us. So, okay, so here's the fun part of tonight. We want to open it up and talk about the plays. And what we're going to do is we're just going to go from how they were listed on Vimeo, and then just kind of open it up and give feedback and talk about the shows. So some of you here are audience members, and that's what we want to do tonight. So Chasing Cinderella. Dana, you're up first. So for those of you that watched Chasing Cinderella, Dana is here to answer questions, and we are also here to give feedback. So who would like to start? Janice.
I love a good romance, and this was, and that's I love that because it was sort of an anti-romance in a certain way, but then it was totally crying and loving it, you know, at the end. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Deb, I'm sorry, you're supposed to do this section. I keep talking, so Deb, you take over on this piece.
Oh, that's okay. Anybody else have a comment or feedback for Chasing Cinderella for Dana? Marge.
Yeah, I actually didn't watch it because when I plugged in my special number, it didn't work. So I read it instead, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. I really enjoyed the older and the younger telling the tale, one as it's happening and one in looking back in retrospect.
Thank you so much. Yeah, not an easy feat to try to capture on the virtual stage. So a little bit of editing there, and I was very thankful. One of my actors, Heather Mall, who played the older version of Ava, recorded the song Chasing Cinderella specifically for this play. And it was a wonderful bridge between the worlds. And I was very thankful for her writing such a lovely piece that really encapsulated the message of the play as well.
Dana, what inspired you to become a playwright, and how has being a woman influenced your work's themes and narratives?
Yeah, so I wrote professionally as a psychotherapist in journals, magazines, and reviews for many, many years. And so writing wasn't new to me, but this format became introduced to me during the pandemic. I fell in love with Paula Vogel's series on YouTube, and I was just introduced to the concept of writing narratives in this form, in the play form. As an actor, is also where my training is, I felt like bringing that lens of the stories that I wanted to see and the parts that I wanted to play forward was really important to the work that I wanted to do. And so when those things came together, kind of a perfect storm, I began writing. And since then, I've been fortunate to produce works across the nation and internationally that center on feminist themes and representation of women over the age of 40 as well is a major part of my writing too.
Wonderful. Gretchen, you have your hand up.
Yeah, and I think Janice does well. I just wanted to say that I also really enjoyed the older and the younger version of Ava, and it. Are you familiar? I'm sorry if I sometimes they compare pieces, but it reminded me a lot of Fun Home, and like the different age and story as well. So like that. And I think I first asked you when we first met. I was like, "Is it a musical?" And then it was really nice to have the song and everything. So like it gave me those vibes. It was really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Janice.
Oh, I just wanted to add, I'm so happy you talked about the song because I made a big note to myself. It was a beautiful song and wonderful how you had it throughout. And I also thought you did a beautiful technical job of making it very interesting for streaming. Excellent.
Thank you.
Oh, I love the line, sometimes real life is better than the fairy tale. It's true.
I hope so.
Angela.
Thanks. I watched it, and I have to say it was really gut-wrenching to watch that mom keep reaching out to that daughter and her just kind of pushing away. And it was like so hard for me to watch because my little one is 10. So she's just coming into that teenage age. And I was like, oh, but then when they came together and the daughter realized how much her mom really cared, it was like, oh, thank God. It was like I really got invested emotionally. So I loved it.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have Kathleen?
Dana, hey. Just wondering what was the inspiration for this? Was this something that you like pulled out of a hat and got Cinderella and decided to write something on it? Or where did this actually come from?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as a psychotherapist, my work is largely in the LGBTQIA plus community, and I hear narratives like this all day. And some of them aren't as happy as Chasing Cinderella is, as it turns out. So this was my nod, my appreciation to the narratives that have been shared with me. And if I could take those stories and give back a message, this was the story. This was written specifically for a few of my clients together, who I cannot reveal their identifications, but this was the story that they had wanted their mother to know. And so this was a piece that has that duality of meaning. I would love for Chasing Cinderella to be a piece where families can watch this with the younger generation and see and hear and understand that their narrative is so important, and that their love is vital and important and needs to be represented even more in our society. So Chasing Cinderella comes from a conglomeration of narratives that I was fortunate to hold as a therapist and be able to bring that forward. Personally, my daughter is obsessed with Disney and princesses, and I'm looking at that world through her eyes because that wasn't my experience growing up. I just never felt that kinship in these forms of narrative. And so, in a way, I too have found a sense of healing through this piece, in that I never identified in that way, but sometimes I would pretend to be like my friends, and like the things that they like. And so I think this is also a nod to the younger version of me too, that it's okay to be who you are, and that what you love and what you appreciate will come forward, and that you don't need to fit into anyone else's narrative. You can forge your own way.
Thank you. Heather, would you like to say anything about performing in this particular role?
Sure, yeah. I'm sorry, I just got back from work, so I'm a little late. But yeah, this was really such an incredible experience. I've always loved working with Dana, and just reading everything that she puts together. It's so, like, it's so real and it's just so beautiful at the same time. And it was just it was an honor to be a part of this show. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Okay, our next show is Divine Truth, but unfortunately, I don't see Deborah Cole on here. So let's move to Duress and Angela. Would anybody like to comment on Angela's play, Duress?
It was tense.
Yeah,
Peggy.
definitely different than a lot of the other shows for sure.
I loved seeing it because I read it before, and I loved seeing it performed, and it was done so beautifully. I mean, I really loved your stage setting, and it was just and it really was, we were right there with you.
Yeah.
And you were wonderful, and your acting was wonderful in it.
Thank you.
Yeah, your male, the main evil guy was
the bad one. Yeah.
Like, just when you had to do that, was it hard to like go and having coffee and stuff like that, and then jumping into like some kind of an intense role like that? Like, how was the division of that?
That's a really good question. That actor, his name is Devin DeVee. He is such a total professional that it was just so easy. I mean, he took it really seriously. He did a really good job. We had a fight coordinator on that taught us how to do everything safely, and we all took safety super seriously. So it just made it like no problem. Like, I got that question a lot, but I think it was just a testament to how professional that actor was, that it just went really smoothly, and he was great. But both actors really were. And even the guy that played George. So I was really blessed with a good company of actors and a good director that we just went step by step, took it super seriously, and it was a lot of fun.
The way it was filmed, it actually looks like it could almost be a movie. Have you considered turning that from theater to film?
Yeah, when I first thought of the concept, I started to write it as a film, but I don't know anything about film. I only knew about theater at the time. So as I was starting to do it, and I kept tripping up, I'm like, let me just do what I know. and put it on stage. And if I get that off the ground, I would love to turn it into a film one day, because it's just in one setting, so it might be easy. But I just stuck with what I knew first.
Awesome. Does anybody, okay, I'm sorry, Janice, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Deb. Angela, wow. I people who know me know this was tough for me to watch, but it raised some questions, you know, that I didn't really want to think about, but that, you know, and I'm sure that was part of your intent. So you did that really well. And yeah, I thought I could tell that it wasn't done haphazardly, that I as a, you know, director, theater person, was worried, but then I could see I was safe in the with the unsafety, if you know what I mean. And
yeah,
so and beautiful acting on your part. And did your character take something out, take it out of his pocket? Did I get that right at the end? What happened there? As just before you leave, at the very end.
Oh yeah. So part of the story was the really bad guy had taken this planner that had everybody who the main character loves, their names, their addresses, and he put it in his pocket. And the idea being that, you know, that was a way to control her, to make her feel like, well, even if she escaped, he would still have that. And so he was just trying to get her to quit trying to get out of the situation. And so before she left, she took that planner with her.
Okay. I
Okay, somebody should not be sharing
caught that, yeah.
It's not. You are viewing Lourdes. So
Lourdes, can you please stop screen sharing? I'm not sure how to stop it.
There's a red button at the top.
Okay, there we go.
I'm so glad you said it made you think, because that is one thing I really wanted to present, was a story from the victim's point of view. Because a lot of times when I would handle cases, people would be really judgmental about the actions of the victim. So sometimes I've lost a couple cases in front of juries because I would lose them if they felt like the victim was too mad. You know, she'd get on the stand, she'd be angry, and juries would feel like, oh, she's got an axe to grind, she's lying to us. But then I would sometimes lose them because she wasn't angry enough. You know, she was too just unemotional, and they would think, well, this couldn't have happened to her. So I really want to tell the story from that long monologue at the end is the main character saying, I'm forced to make this really hard choice, and here's exactly why I'm doing it. And I kind of hoped it would make the audience think about what other choice did she have, considering what she'd been through, and just kind of force them to see it from her perspective, whether or not they ultimately agree with the choice she made or not. I really wanted folks to put themselves in that place and consider that.
I listened to that twice, that speech.
Oh.
I wanted to hear you on that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Lisa.
I ditto what everybody said. It was very intense. Ever since I watched it, I wanted to ask you though, like from the technical, like how you a theater and a whole set and microphones, what are your resources? Like, do you work with a theater company? How did you make that happen? Because I was like, wait, are we not all on Zoom? What's happening?
I know. I'll tell you the inside story on that. So as all the playwrights in the room, you guys know how hard it is to get a theater to stage an original work. It's nearly impossible because they don't want to take a chance on something that they don't know if they're going to make money or not. What happened is I had a theater that I was working with that because I'm an attorney, they asked me if I'd go get them their beer and wine license. So I said, sure. And I just did it for free, no questions asked. So then I turned around to them and said, will you stage my play? And they were like, sure, you know, because I had done them this favor. So it was very short. It was 1 or 2 nights. I got an audience in there. It wasn't like I convinced them based on the merits of the work. It had more to do with the fact that I was good-natured about lending my talents, but I really wanted to get it on stage. And I'm still pushing them to continue to do that original work because, I mean, you saw the set, it was a couple flats, the whole thing probably cost them like a couple $100. They made a couple thousand by the time all my family and friends came, and people, we put it out there to domestic violence survivors, folks like them came out. So this next upcoming season, they're doing an original work written by somebody else in the theater because of the success of Duress and what it brought. So I'm just hoping that more local theaters will do that, because again, if you can keep the set minimal, it's not, they're not going to lose money on it, but it's always a push. I hear you.
Well, it was awesome. It was fun to watch.
Thanks.
Hi, Angela. I just want to say thank you so much for writing this piece and for putting all the work into this piece. It just, as Lisa said, it shows. It shows the love and the passion that you have as an attorney representing these women. The themes of control and manipulation, as violence as well, because that can be something that often gets overlooked. And it gives a wonderful window into that level of abuse and recognition to it and voice to it. Because as you know, those that you represent, oftentimes we can't always get that voice into that courtroom, or even as a therapist, I fight for that too. And so I see you, I recognize that, I love that. It was hard to watch at times, but I think that's important that it was hard to watch, because this is real. This is real life. And it's a lovely piece of advocacy. And thank you for the additional piece of advocacy for getting new works into theaters as well. That's wonderful what you've done. And I hope that that theater and others are listening, because there's great pieces out there. Thank you.
Definitely. Yeah, and just to dovetail on or back end on what you're saying, Dana, is I feel like it's such a misconception out there that we've moved so far beyond violence and relationship, because since I've put it out there that I'm kind of an advocate, women find their way to me, and it is so much more common than people think. I mean, I think it's probably in the neighborhood of 4 out of 10 or 3 out of 10, especially male-female relationships. I don't know how it is in the, in the gay community, but certainly in the hetero relationships, it's pretty common. If it's not, extreme violence, pushing, shoving, abusive, emotionally abusive tactics, I'm sure from your work. So I hesitated. I really struggled. Anytime you're putting any kind of sexual violence on stage, I really prayed over it, because it is hard to watch and it's upsetting, but it's happening. It's happening to people that we know and love. So I did put it in there, because I really couldn't write a play about violence as a tool of manipulation and leave that violence out, because there's a lot of misconceptions about sexual violence, but it is about power and control. It's not about desire. It's not about anything like that. It's purely another tool. And it's one thing I think people don't realize, for sure.
Wonderful. Our next playwright is Marge O'Neill Butler. She wrote 4 Bedrooms. Who would like to comment on 4 Bedrooms? Janice.
I keep thinking about those women. I'm still thinking about them. I really loved each one of them. I even got to like the daughter. I was relating to what someone was saying about the daughter pushing the mom away. In the earlier play in Cinderella, it was tough to hear some of this, between the mom and the daughter. And I really loved that the mom didn't just capitulate, I'm back, but each of the women, I loved their growth. I loved their support of each other. I loved the really groovy idea that I can't think of the main character's name. Susan? No.
Carol
came up with, and I felt affection for them, and I still am thinking about them. So
that's nice. Thank you.
Gretchen.
I gotta say, you really circumvented my expectations, because I thought, 4 women in a house, there's gonna be conflict. But they were so supportive of each other. And I love that the conflict was outside of their relationships. with the daughter, what happened with the church, or with what's happening with getting their education, like that their struggles were outside and that they kind of made a chosen family for themselves. And so I just felt like the whole time I was like rooting for them. I was like, oh, what are they going to do next? So like that was just really beautiful. And also like I'm totally doing that when I get older. Like if I happen to outlive my husband, like I'm just gonna like I'm just gonna have a bunch of roommates.
Ken, here is your reminder.
Sherry.
Yes, along the same lines of what Gretchen was just saying, I really love that everything that they were doing was unexpected. And it was, as a person my age, it was like, that would be so cool. I would love to do that. I loved how they were each improving their situation, going after things they'd always wanted to do. And I have 3 daughters, and if any one of them ever treated me like that, I would be very upset. But I think it's an incredible idea. I love that she franchised it. But yeah, I related to many of the 4 characters. It was really, really fun to read, really fun to watch too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any comments?
I just wanted to say I adore women over the age of 60 coming together, and it's all about vitality and their life and experience. And I think that's so much fun to see those dynamics, and to have that on stage is a wonderful contribution. This was not something that, like, when I went into it, I didn't know what to expect. I did expect there to be bickering and infighting, and I love, as others have said, like the conflict is outside and that they're growing and developing. And oftentimes, unfortunately, the way women are portrayed is like we're out to pasture beyond the age of 40. And these women are vibrant, and they have found some creative ways around some things, and I like that too. So thank you so much, Marge, for this one.
Thanks.
Lisa?
Dana basically said what I was going to say in a better, more succinct way. But yeah, I really enjoyed, because watching it, you're always trying to, like with anything that I consume, you try to guess what's coming next. So it's like, okay, these 4 women are living to, they're going to fight. Oh, there's going to be tension. And then they just got along. And I was like so surprised in a very pleasant way. So yeah, it surprised me. And it was great.
Awesome. Anybody else? Kathleen.
Yeah, I actually host a women's circle, and there are several of us that are older in that circle. And I got to tell you, this was so dead on as far as the support system that's happening in this sisterhood, basically, and the rejuvenation that happens at a certain time in life. And as we are released from various different responsibilities. And I knew each of those women. And I know the daughter. She's mine. So, not quite so, but there is that thing. I've got her room. I'm sitting in her old room right now. It is now my space, and it's like she isn't getting it back, and she knows it. She came home during the pandemic. She didn't get her room back. So yeah, so I identified very, very much with these ladies. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Peggy, did you have your hand up?
Yes, because I would say for the last decade, which would have been from the age 65 to I'm 75 now, that I've been gathering, I've been gathering the women together that we're going to create this community. And so, it was really great to see this played out on stage. And so thank you. Thank you for the inspiration, the further inspiration.
Awesome.
After I read this play, Marge, I told my husband, I said, okay, something happens to you. I got it all figured out now, this room into this and this room into that. So a lot of my friends and I have talked about that over the years, but it was really nice to see it played out.
Thanks.
Okay, our next play is Searching for Abuela by Gretchen Suarez Pina. Who would like to start the conversation? Cheryl.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Gretchen, I just want to let you know I was moved by this play. I mean, you opened your heart and you opened your soul. And as I was listening to it, all I was saying was, yep, yep, I know how you feel. This is so true. And I just want to thank you for going on that journey and letting us come along with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cheryl.
Lisa.
Yeah, so I already emailed you. I love it so much. I have a question though. I'm wondering what your family members think, because I also wrote a play about my grandmothers, and there are certain people in my family who don't know that I did that because they would be upset. So I'm wondering, like, what does your family think? Is there anybody who doesn't know the play exists, or how on board are they?
Everyone in my family knows the play exists. Actually, I have 3 family members here. My older sister's here, my mom is here, and my aunt is here. Well, the second oldest of Nicolas's daughters. So I've written a lot of shows that my family has been like, "What are you writing about?" And this was definitely the most vulnerable. But I've gotten nothing but positive reviews from them. So they know that I'm extra. So they kind of expect it. But yes, everyone in my family knows about it, and they've been really supportive about it. And I've had like second cousins and stuff watch it, people who knew my grandfather. So that's been really beautiful to kind of connect in that way. People from 23andMe have like shown up in my life. I've reached like people have like third cousins and stuff. So now I'm like gathering even that more information. So like, yeah. So far, good reviews. No one's mad at me yet.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh.
Janice.
Well,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Gretchen. Go ahead.
No. I loved it. That was my button. That was the end.
Gretchen, I was like smiling even through the sad parts. Your energy just shot out through. It was so well acted, so well sung, so well danced. You pulled me in, and I hope this isn't offensive to you. I was watching too, but I was dancing with you. I tried to follow some of your moves, and this was late at night. Last night, you called up that energy in me. When you were in your underwear, my first reaction was, oh, and then I loved that. I grew to love that. That you said it, the vulnerability, and you were like shedding skin, layers before you put on those beautiful clothes that rounded the whole thing out. I was talking about it several times today. Thank you.
Peggy.
So it brought to mind another solo performance that we saw last year, and it just struck me that solo performances are so powerful. They really are so powerful because this person on stage just totally opens himself up to, to just like bearing it all, and it just was so energizing, and so it just, no matter what your background is, you connected with it. And so thank you for expressing all of those things that you expressed that we've all experienced at some point, and doing it so powerfully.
Yeah. Awesome. Lorna.
Hello, I am Lorna, Gretchen's older sister. And so I have to say that I'm trying not to cry, but yeah, because I'm incredibly proud. And what I really loved about this place, I was thinking about back in 2020 when you, Gretchen, had us do the family tree. And you really went on a journey with this. And I'm just very thankful because we all have our own story and we all have our own point of view. But I love the fact that it was about our grandfather that we never met, and that it was so much talked about in our childhood. And not just that, but just our Puerto Rican roots and that we live here in the United States and how much we're proud of being both, that she's being proud of being both. And it's just a lot of thoughts. And so it's just very emotional because we are very close. We are a very close family with just very different personalities. And it was just a wonderful to see it unfold. So yes, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Lorna.
Thank you, Lorna. Does anybody else have any comments or feedback for Gretchen? Amy?
I was curious about the audience. Is that the first time you performed it in front of an audience? And I was a little frustrated because it was such a beautiful, soul-bearing performance watching you that I was like, get up out of your seats. Hug her for me. So yeah, have you ever done it? It's such a personal thing, your story and so close to the audience.
Yeah, I had done a couple of stage readings virtually with audiences, but never a full performance. So that was the first time doing a performance with the audience. They were all very engaged. I will tell you that they were all trying to be super respectful of the video recording. They were all like that. You could see them, like I could see them squirming in their seats and like wanting to like move. My husband was sitting in the corner and he looks like he is mad the entire time. And I was like, Alan, you can smile. He's like, I was just trying to not do anything because I didn't want to mess anything up. So they were all very energized. They were just trying to be super respectful, but that was the first time that I ever performed it in front of a live audience. Yeah. But I'm glad I made, if you moved, you know, if you were starting to dance in your seats when you're at home, that's great. But, and also just to say, like, I'd never written a solo show before. I've never performed a solo show. I did this on a dare. Someone said, you need to perform your own work. You need to write a solo show. And I said, why would I do that? And they're like, are you scared? And I'm like, yes. And then he's like, that's why you have to do it. Actually, it was the gentleman who filmed it. He was the one who dared me to write a solo show. And then I decided to frame it in a dance style that I have never danced in my entire life. And so I went on the journey of not only writing this piece and, you know, uncovering my roots, but also learning this dance, which now I'm absolutely obsessed with and will never stop dancing. Actually, and to kind of call back to Marge's piece, a lot of the women who actually dance this dance are like in their 50s and 60s. Like they are, like you do have the young people dancing, but this is a mature woman's dance. So like it, you know, when I went to take a dance class in Point Siena, all the women there were over 65. And so I was like the youngest person there. And so I just, that kind of motivated me to like keep going. So anyway, sorry, didn't mean to keep going, but oh, Janice.
Anybody else? Okay, Janice, I see your hand up.
I don't know how to say this appropriately, but it was so perfect for Power Stories. You know, Fran can talk more about that, but in terms of our roots and what we've been doing, it was, wow. I said, well, there it is. Yeah.
This type of show was the genesis of all of the work that we've done at Power Stories. We originally started working with individual women telling their own personal stories and weaving those stories into plays. And it was always performed by the woman telling her own true story. Janice was one of them. Peggotty was one of them. Cherry was one of them.
Cheryl.
So Cheryl was one of them. Absolutely. So this just was music to my ears and just really spoke to me because Power Stories is in transition right now a little bit. So it's like, am I watching this because I'm supposed to get back into doing this more? You know, those kinds of things. So thank you, Gretchen.
Thank you. Oh, that's my mom.
Lourdes.
Yes, hello. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, because I share the screen. I was trying to put it on my TV. That was not my intention. But anyway, I am very emotional right now because, of course, that play was about my father who passed away 1 month exactly, like Gretchen said in the play, 1 month before my graduation, my high school graduation. And it's going to be in 2 years, it's going to be 50 years that happened. That was 1975. And then I was not going to talk today because I am very emotional today because tomorrow was supposed to be my mom's birthday and she passed away this past October. So it's a lot of emotion going in my mind and my heart right now. But I just wanted to say that what Gretchen did with that play was exactly what happened. And everything that she said there is the truth and nothing but the truth. And she put her own things, too. But, it was very, very emotional, and I'm very proud of her to see her doing that. Because we are now today, but we don't know where we're going to be tomorrow. And that is going to be forever. Somewhere, I don't know where, but it's going to be there. Searching for Abuelo is going to be there, whatever. And other generations are going to be able to see that. I told all my families, the Santiagos, and I think my uncles about it. I don't know how many of them saw it today, but I hope they did because it's very powerful. Just wanted to say that, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mommy.
Thank you, Lourdes. Okay, our final play of the evening is She Tunes the Violin by Lisa. Lisa, I am going to slaughter your two last names. Can you please pronounce them for me?
Stella Girino Ferren, but I answer to.
Thank you. And if you'd like to introduce your cast, because I know we had somebody else come on after, I believe.
Yeah, I'll go through it again. So you've got Kathleen Clay, who's the director. And then let's see, Ciara, there she is. Ciara was Sally Hemings. Tara was Martha Jefferson. And I think that's all I see. Those are my people that I see.
And Chris just texted and say he's real sorry, but he's putting his 2-year-old to bed. So he's not going to make it. So he played Thomas Jefferson.
Oh, okay. So who would like to comment first on She Tunes the Violin?
I just want to say I am a big fan of historical plays, and this does not disappoint. The work that you put into this, the labor of love that this play is, comes across beautifully. And of course, in Kathleen's hands, wow, these actors shine. I loved it. It just elevated the dynamic of watching a show via Zoom. I didn't feel like I was missing anything. And I just loved that you've taken, we hear a lot of the mainstream dominant male history, and this is really not the white man's perspective. This is behind the scenes, and I just, oh, it's beautiful. And this is one I think everyone should have to watch too. Um, we have Gretchen's personal tale of like discovering who one is, and then this is our collective narrative of who we are living in America. These are the narratives that need to be told. So kudos to you, Lisa, and kudos to Power Stories for picking this one up.
Thank you. Gretchen.
So I did message Lisa, but I was obsessed with this because I was in Washington, D.C., just going to the Jefferson Memorial and to the National American History Museum. And so watching this piece after seeing all of that history, it was just like the perfect timing to watch it. And just like Dana said, it was just like this, the behind the scenes, the stuff that doesn't get put, in the film. It's the cutting room floor information that we needed. And so I took a deep dive into Jefferson and the Hemings family after that. So I, just like Dana, I love historical piece, and I love that you didn't shy away from the issues, like, the issues of slavery, the issues of women begetting children, even when it's not safe or healthy. And just like all of those things that are super important to talk about that people just don't talk about. We just talk about like, oh, Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. Great. Awesome. Move on. And we don't talk about all of these other people. And so, yeah, kudos. And it was just like such a treat to be in Washington, D.C. and getting to experience history while also watching the show.
Awesome. Sherry.
Yes, I had the privilege of reading this one first, and just my theater background, I just loved the mother appearing as a ghost or an apparition, or all the different ways that you could portray that on stage. So I definitely visualized the whole thing on stage when I read it. I loved watching it the way you did it. That was great. But I I really loved that element. And then I also loved, along with what Gretchen was saying, that the women, you know, a lot of times all we have of that information is the way the men talk to them. You know, they, you're just a woman, you don't know. And I love how full and knowledgeable the women were, and how we got to see that in juxtaposition to how the white man always describes all the women. So I really loved the piece and thought that that was really interesting.
Janice.
Yeah, dovetailing on that, you'll be a mother again. Feeling like really he's reaching out, and we're going, don't say that, you know. And the bonds between the women, her and her mother, and the surrogate mother, you know, who actually raised her. It was also really interesting to hear him discussing with the actual slave that he's not releasing, how he can't do it. The whole, you know, the economy. Yes, I morally don't believe, that's always been mind-boggling to me. I morally don't believe in it, but we can't change anything because, you know, of the economy. And hearing someone actually saying, you know, no, you're a coward, and so on. I thought that was very, I learned a lot. My question is, how did you do your research, or what did you extrapolate on? What did you?
Yeah, thanks. It was hard because I feel like there's four kind of big characters. There's Patty and Tom and Benny and Jupiter. And of the four of them, three didn't leave anything behind. Like, we have everything. Thomas Jefferson left all the writing on like what he did and thought and felt. But then he destroyed all of his wife's stuff, so we don't have anything from her. And then Betty and Jupiter lived at a time where they weren't allowed to write. So I had to find three of the four in the negative space around Thomas Jefferson. So, you know, like when Patty's dad died, he made up an advertisement to sell Elk Hill, but then instead of selling Elk Hill, he bought the land around it. And then right after she died, he went to Paris, and the first thing he did when he was settling all his affairs was sell Elk Hill. So I was like, okay, so I guess he wanted to sell it, but he didn't. So that was her. So how did she do that? And then, you know, Jupiter was his personal valet for 10 years. And then all of a sudden he's working in the stables, and I was like, well, what happened there? Because they knew each other really well, and he replaced him with a 14-year-old who doesn't know what he wants as much as this guy who's been with him forever. So it's a lot of like guesswork. And Betty was the hardest to write because Betty was the hardest to find, because he didn't interact with her. So it would be like in the farm book, he'd be like, X amount of pounds on material for dresses for the Hemmings women, and that's all you get. But I could find some of her kids, like her sons Martin and James and Bob, and her daughter Sally. Of course, you can find them around Thomas Jefferson. So then I was like, well, what qualities do they have in common? And because there wasn't ever a dad in the picture because of, you know, the life that she had to live, maybe the qualities they have in common were qualities they got from their mother. So she was the hardest one to write. So it was very hard, but yeah, it was rewarding. I do comedy, so it was I stress sweat more writing this play than any other play. It didn't come easy at all.
Thank you. Angela.
Thanks. I was so frustrated for the enslaved people, like all the stuff they had to just be quiet about and not say anything about it. It really made me feel like something I hadn't really considered before, and I loved that. And I also totally forgot I was watching a virtual performance. That is such a testament to the talent of the people playing Mr. and Mrs. Jefferson, that they were just so incredibly talented that I was like, they're really interacting with each other. That part where they're sharing the bottle of wine, like I really felt like they were in the same room, and that was awesome. But yeah, and then like the feeling of frustration that like she was trying to be such a good wife to him, but she had to like slowly convince him of her will. Just, it was really hard to watch that way, but I think it was like a testament to what the times were like at that time. And Thomas Jefferson really was like that scene where he takes his personal valet and makes him work in the stables just because the personal valet, you know, kind of told him the truth about himself. What made it made him kind of a monster in that scene, but yet you humanized him, which I think was really cool. So we really got like a you didn't shy away from the dark parts of the fact that Thomas Jefferson owned slaves, but so you humanized him, but you didn't shy away from the darkness. So it felt like I was really watching something very true to life. So I loved it.
Can I say one thing about the technical, because ATC Studios, which Kathleen Calais runs, they do like Zoom reading of plays all the time. So I was like, will you partner with me? Because they're so polished and so good. Kathleen will never work with me again because this ended up being so hard, like everybody's schedules. I felt really bad. But yeah, if you want to see good plays on Zoom, like everything, they have a whole YouTube page and of plays they've done, and it's, yeah, they're all so good, so well done.
Tara and Kiara and Kathleen, would you like to speak about directing and performing?
One of the actors, why don't you go first? Tara or Kiara? Kiara, can I out you as far as the whole thing with Sally Hemings goes? Am I allowed?
I mean, yeah, why not?
Kiara is in one of my after-school programs in Paterson, New Jersey. And she, this past year, was just a freshman. And when this came up and we needed someone for Sally, she was the first person that came to my mind. And when I asked her to be Sally Hemings, this is the part I asked her for permission just now, she didn't know who Sally Hemings was at all. And so we got to do, just through the rehearsal process and working together and everything, we got to have history lessons as well. And so I thank you, Lisa, for bringing this up and giving this opportunity, because one of my things is making a difference. And I'm hoping that has made a difference to this young lady. So sorry, Kiara, but it's just such a thing for me. So go ahead now, I'll let you talk.
Yeah, I really enjoyed here being around supporting really talented people as well. And I just want to say thank you, Kathleen. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I really enjoyed being there.
Wonderful. Tara, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yeah, sure. Hi. Yeah, this was an awesome experience. I love working with Kathleen. I've loved working with Lisa, and really this entire cast was pretty fantastic. And it was funny, so often, especially working with Kathleen in ATC Studios, most of the people have worked on Zoom, especially since the pandemic. And so having a couple people who were brand new to the whole process was a challenge, but they were there for it and they jumped in, and it was seamless. Like one of our first rehearsals where basically what we were doing was rehearsing the scene and then immediately filming, or just doing a first take as our rehearsal. And if it was great, cool, we'll do one for safety. And just from the get-go, they jumped in, they did it, they knew it. And I was like, in between takes, I'm like, I gotta tell you, like, well done. Like, you've never done this before and it looks like you have. So awesome. I love that the little tricks that we had for Zoom, like passing the wine bottle and stuff, or the baby or whatever, blew your mind, came across well. So that's awesome. And yeah, Lisa did an amazing job, and thank you. Kathleen also, whole cast, thank you.
Kathleen, would you like to say anything?
I was thrilled when Lisa reached out. We had done 2 of her comedies during our Zoom reading series. And by the way, playwrights, if you'd like, submit yourselves to us. Especially something that you are developing and that may not be ready yet for a festival like this, because it gives you an opportunity. It's totally free. Gives you an opportunity to get your words out, and to have a talk back immediately following. And we've had 3 or 4 shows now go all the way through the process. right into New York. And that's been very exciting. But what I really wanted to say was, I thought this was going to be easy peasy lemon squeezy because, hey, Zoom, sure, we know what we're doing on Zoom. We'll just do this like a Zoom film. And boy, I regretted it a few times. it was a bit crazy in the editing process, but thank you. For my cast was just amazing, like Tara said. Tara and Chris had worked together since they were little, and so they had that was Mr. and Mrs. Jefferson, so they had that rapport to begin with, and we actually toyed with the idea of doing that one scene in person, and we couldn't make it work. We couldn't get the schedules to work, so it ended up having to be passing the wine bottle on Zoom. So please, oh, sure, absolutely. I'd be happy to. Deb just asked if I would put the contact information in the chat, and I will be happy to do that. This is the email that you can use, and I'll also put my website in there. Oh, thank you, Tara. I can always depend on Tara to do, even when we're doing readings live, she's over there on the chat, putting in the links. It's wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, there we go. Yes, that's all. That is all correct. And I hope that's all correct. Yes, it is. So thank you so much, Lisa, for trusting us with this piece, and how amazing it was to hear that other perspective. And frustrating when I got to the first time I got to the point of him burning the letters and realizing that there was nothing from her that we were able to that you were able to pull from, and it all had to come from what was going on around her at the time. And that was amazing to me as a writer, as a director, as an actor. I was like, oh my gosh, what an amazing piece to get to work on. And I am connected with a new theater that's just starting, and we are doing new playwrights, by the way. Kismet Performing Artists Theater. But you can get to me through ATC. And so, yeah, please do. We actually, our first piece, some of you might know Michael Susko as a playwright, and Michael's new piece based on House on Haunted Hill, the Vincent Price movie, is being done this fall live, like a real production. So please, if you are interested, by all means, reach out, and we'll be happy to see what we can do with you.
Awesome, wonderful. Well, on that happy note, we are ready to present some awards.
So this is what we did. Everybody is getting an award tonight. And so everybody is getting an award with a special title on it. And so we're going to present all the awards to each of you. And then after all the awards are presented, then we are going to let you know who won the second place and the first place for the third annual Voices of Women Theater Festival. Before we do that, I'm just so honored to know all of you. You just give me so much hope for this world, that everybody's using their gifts to better the world, that we're all kind of living this life, and we all have our own struggles, and we all have our own things that we're passionate about. And it's just so delightful to have all of you in this festival. And I loved reading your works. I loved watching your plays, and it's just been a delight. It's been a pure delight. This is what Power Stories is all about. We also do new works on our stage. One of the new works from the Voices of Truth a couple years ago was selected for our main stage just last year, and that was Carolyn Gage's play In McClintock's Corn. And I was out to lunch with a friend of mine just a couple of days ago, and Julie has seen every play we've done at Power Stories. And she said, you know what my favorite play was ever? And I didn't think I'd like it at all. and she was said in McClintock's Corn, because it was a story about science and a story about the Nobel Prize, and it sounded very dry when you marketed it, but it was just delightful on stage. So we look at all the plays that you have written, and we consider every single one of them when we come up with our main stage performances. So okay, Sherry Whittington is Sherry Whittington is a program specialist with us at Power Stories. She's actually going to read the awards. The award's going to come up on the screen and she will read them. So why don't we get started?
Our first award goes to Dana Hall, the Enlightenment Award for Chasing Cinderella.
Yay!
Okay, hold on, it shows my quit, so I'm not sure what happened. Can you guys still see my computer?
We can see your screen. Award. We can see the award.
Okay, because it tells me I'm not.
Oh, you stopped it.
And now we're seeing the gallery again.
Okay, sorry guys, my apologies. Can you see the screen?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, my screen just stopped, so my apologies. Okay. And of course, now that it's not doing what it was supposed to have been doing. I love technical difficulty. 2 seconds. Talk amongst
you got a tough
yourself.
job doing all the technical stuff. That's always hard.
Yeah, my Zoom crashed and now nothing is opening. So my apologies. It'll be just a second. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
And we rehearsed all of this, of course.
We practiced this. We made sure everything was working perfectly, and then life happens, and you know how that goes.
And
Okay.
everybody gets on their computer and your bandwidth goes down.
Yep. Okay, so there we go.
All right, our next award goes to Deborah Cole, the Mental Health Spotlight Award for Divine Truth.
Yay!
The Empower Her Award is presented to Angela Sarabia for Duress.
Thank you. Thanks.
The Triumphant Women Award goes to Mary O'Neill Butler for 4 bedrooms.
Beautiful. Perfect.
The Legacy Award goes to Gretchen Suarez Pena for Searching for Abuelo.
Yes.
Yay. And the Illuminating History Award goes to Lisa Delajarino Ferrend.
Yes.
Where she tunes the violin.
Yay!
Yay!
All right.
And now.
Okay. So now, before we reveal the second and first place, I have to tell you these judges did a lot of work and a lot of discussing on these 2 plays. There were a lot of plays that were in the running for second place, more so than first place. So just know that Claire Ann and Susan and Amy thought a lot about these plays. And the second place winner of our festival is, second place goes to Lisa, for she tunes the violin. Yay! Oh my gosh, Lisa, it was such a fabulous play, So I want to talk to you afterwards. And the first place of the Voices of Women Festival goes to Gretchen Suarez Pena for Searching for Abuelo. Yay!
Oh my God. Thank you guys. I'm going to cry.
Oh, I'm going to cry with you guys.
Thank you so much. Oh God. Okay. I'm going to bawl like a baby later. I'm just, I love you all. I love you all. Just know I love you all. Oh my God.
Yay. So, I don't know, Susan and Amy, do you want to talk? Judges, do you want to talk at all about your process?
share with you what a joy it was to see them all. And the best part about Zoom is you can always rewind, you know, to see again what it is you wanted to see. I made a list of my favorite lines from the plays. So if that's okay, can I share that
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
Now it would probably vary, you know, depending on the mood and the spaghetti that I'm eating, but these are them not in any particular order. Cinderella, you're going to think this is silly, but when the mother started talking about driving and she said 10 and 2, and only those of us who were taught by parents who were anal, hands at 10, hands at 2, or took driver's ed. And I still think about that when I'm looking at my hands. And my husband says, put both hands on the wheels, 10 and 2. And I thought that was lovely. That was just a lovely moment. The next one was related to Deb, so I won't bother saying that. And they're out of order, but I know the minister of the Congregational Church, 4 bedrooms, right? My father is a minister of the Congregational Church. And yes, that is a good person to know. My father was very liberal. He preached in North Carolina, but he was very liberal. And when he died, the people in the small town of North Carolina said, not everybody liked Dick Jackson, but everybody loved him. And I just thought that whole religious thing about being in church, you know, the minister of the Congregational Church, it was just lovely. It was really so sweet. In violin, but I had women around to teach me. Wow, that just struck me, how the women forever have been teaching their daughters, or whoever, you know, or the women have been teaching. And I'm a teacher, and that just struck me as something so beautiful and timeless. And then the last one is, oh no, I've got 2 more. I was the one who convinced Dad it was hit by lightning. What? She convinced her father that he didn't. No, my brother didn't burn it down. It was hit by lightning. I mean, how wild is that? But absolutely accurate and wonderful. And remember, I told Dad that it was hit by lightning. It was just a great moment of weirdness and love in this sociopathic family. And then the last one, how did all of you get away with taking English all the way through college? That's all I need to say about that. So those were the lines that stuck out. I'm sure at a different time there would be others, but I love that. And when I mean stick out, I mean that in a wonderful way. I don't mean it took me out of the experience. It just made me feel warm. So thank you.
Thank you.
We'd love to hear from anybody with final thoughts.
Do you want me to
any of the playwrights? Oh, I'm sorry, Amy. I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to say that don't ever ask me to be a judge again. I will never do this again, because every play is wonderful. Everybody's word has value. Everybody is expressing themselves and what they have to say. And it's really hard to say anybody's story is better than any other. So too hard, not doing this again.
Thank you, Amy, for doing it.
Thank you for the opportunity. I did love it.
It was hard, wasn't it, Amy?
It is very
because
hard.
when I was watching them all, I thought, oh gosh, I don't know what I would do. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Any other comments from anybody? Gretchen.
I just want to say, I'm just going to say it. I'm so thankful to Power Stories Theater in particular, because you guys have seen me grow over the last like 6 years. And like, I know that I like leave and then I come back and then I leave and then I come back. So I just want to say that I love you all. And like, it means a lot to be in space with you guys, even if it's virtual space. So just say thank you. And it's been an honor to meet all the other playwrights. You guys are all so phenomenal, like just brilliant. Keep writing. I love it. More women playwrights, just all the women playwrights, please. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Marge.
I just want to say, I think that what you're doing, focusing on women and their work and their stories, is phenomenal. And it's so needed, because so many plays produced are by men, and their perspective is not the same as our perspective. And I think it showed in all of the plays that the perspective of women is so vital and so important. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is what's happening going forward. We will be setting our dates for the next Voices of Women Theater Festival. We do not know when that's going to be yet. We are right now in negotiation with several theaters in the Tampa Bay area so that when we do the festival the next time, we will have space. We didn't have enough time for this festival to recoup and get space because we had just learned of losing our theater. So we hope that the next time we do the Voices of Women Theater Festival, we will have the option of doing it virtually, or we'll have the option of doing it on stage. So we think we might be doing it in March around Women's History Month. We're just not sure yet. So please stay tuned. We are extremely committed to sharing the voices of women. That's who we are. That's our sweet spot. We do that in this. We do it in almost every play we do on our main stage is written by a woman or has a woman as the lead character, or it's a story about women. And we also have our Girl Stories Leadership Theater program, which is bringing young girls up so that they can be strong women. So everything we do is to help and to serve. So we thank you. We will be sending you in the mail the next couple of days feedback from playwrights. We'll be sending you a survey so you can give us some feedback. We always want to know how we can do better. We'll give you some information about people that watched your show and those kinds of things. So this is not the end of our relationship. Please stay in touch with us. Amy doesn't want to be a judge next time, but maybe one of you will. So we thank you. Any final comments from the group?
If I could say something.
Yes.
I just want to say thank you. I really feel happy, feel good being around women, comfortable, and watching all these stories from. It makes me feel so happy. I'm sorry, that's kind of basic, but I just felt like, because I don't know, I like to write a lot, the perspective of women. I like to see other people that do that as well. So thank you. I think all of them were amazing.
And on
Karen,
behalf
submit next year.
On
If
behalf
you're
of
a writer, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Deb, go ahead.
I was saying she's a writer, submit next year.
Absolutely. And I think I'm on behalf of all the women here, we thank you for making that comment because we love it when the youth feel that way. We just love it. So thank you for articulating that. Okay.
Dennis.
Good night.
Dennis,
please let me know your thoughts about anything, and let's keep the relationships going. Thank you, guys.
Oh, this is the callback, or
they just
critique.
They just signed off. There goes Lisa.
He said, "What are you doing here so late?"
Yeah.
I'm telling you,